Hello internet friends. In this video I will be riveting the firewall angles to the left and right firewall sides. Now the firewall sides are stainless steel and the angles are aluminum, so I've primed them with Rust-Oleum self-etching primer. So I read up. I spent a few days trying to figure out should I paint, should I prime, and consensus seems to be, reading Van's forums, is that you shouldn't paint the firewall because in the case of a fire, the heat could create smoke that would then be in the cabin. So what I've elected to do is prime the angles. There will only be a little bit of paint on the angles, and that should reduce any chance of smoke entering the cabin in case of fire. Now, if there's a fire hot enough to make all that smoke, right, hopefully the fuel's off, because otherwise the plane is about to fall apart. So, on that note, I've made another decision to deviate from the plans, also reading about what firewall sealant you should use. And looks like a 3M product called 3M Fire Barrier 2000 is the favorite. There's a few reasons for this, but the main reason that I want to do that is it's specifically made for being a fire barrier, where ProSeal is not meant to be a fire barrier. Now, I'm sure it seals out smoke because it seals out, fuel vapors and fuel escaping from the tanks, so it works, but the other thing is that ProSeal has a curing time and a workable time, so you only have, depending on which fuel sealant you get, half an hour to 2 hours of time before it hardens. And so, you're either buying a big can of it and mixing it up in small batches, or buying the little pneumatic tubes. And there's, like, I counted in the plans 3 different places where I have to do that, so I either save it all up for one day, where the fire sealant I can just use, and it's not it doesn't have a workable time, right? It has a lifespan of 12 months after manufacture according to the tube. So anyway, I will be using fire sealant. Also today I ordered my Jetflex, so hoping that gets here in the next couple weeks. Then I'll be ready to paint stuff, although I think I'm gonna have to get the whole fuselage together to paint it all at once, so I can hit the rivets at the same time. Okay, so my surprise, you can see in the background there, I bought a new motorcycle. That is the one downside of having no idea when you're going to have to send Vans a few $1,000s, because, they have your wings that are ready to ship to you, and then they want a deposit for the next kit, right? So you have some cash sitting around in your account, and then your buddy's like, hey, we should ride dirt bikes. And you're like, yeah, we should ride dirt bikes. And then you go buy a dirt bike. So anyway, last week was pretty busy because I drove to St. George twice to buy a dual sport. The first one I looked at, I thought, wow, this is cool. So I went to go buy it. And I want a smaller bike, so I got a 650. So I wanted a 250 super light bike so I could, do dirt no problem. And so anyway, I drove up to St. George. It was listed for $3,000, so I thought, oh, this is a great deal. So I got there, and it wasn't a great deal. The bike actually had, rusty chain, rusty sprockets. It had a missing turn signal. So I was like, hey man, I'm gonna have to put $1,500 at least into this bike before I can just go ride it with my buddies. So I don't think I'm gonna buy this bike. And anyway, the guy turned out to be a pilot too. So then we ended up just talking about airplanes for an hour and a half, even though I didn't buy his bike. So that's the cool part about the aviation community is, even if you can't make a deal work out, you still got airplanes to talk about. And then I was, had a pile of cash in my pocket to buy the bike, so I looked at other bikes, ended up buying a bike for my kid. So you can see the bike on the left there. I bought that on the way home. And then the other 250 I looked at is the one you see behind me. And I was going to buy that, but the guy was like, oh, I'm not home. And I was like, dang it. So the next day I drove back to St. George And it was a little hilarious because I forgot that the next day was Thursday, Veterans Day, and the bank was closed. So I had to figure out how to get $2,200 out of the ATM when I could only withdraw $1,000. So that was fun, but I ended up getting a way for that to work. So note to self, don't ever try to buy things in cash on holidays. So now the bad part is I'm running out of space in my garage. So I think the bikes are going to have to go in the backyard. Hopefully the rats don't get to them, because that's a thing in Vegas that I didn't understand before I moved here. But yeah, I guess I could put traps out. That would stop them, maybe. But then I have the dog, so I'll have to figure something out. And poor Tesla is outside. In other news, I also need to figure out how to get a hanger. Like I said, hopefully the news I heard at the EAA meeting will help me out, but we shall see. That's probably a couple months away. And who knows when my wings are going to show up. So wings, vans, I know delays suck, but right now it's working out for me to not have wings that I have to put somewhere. Because after this firewall goes together, then I'm going to have put that on the forward skins, bolt the forward skins together, rivet the forward skins together, and then I'll have a giant canoe that will be sitting on this table. One gotcha you should know before you work on these firewall sides, you should mask off the part where the doublers go. So there's a doubler that goes where all the angles meet. Mask that off, because if you Clico the doubler on, you won't be able to rivet the sides. And you don't want to rivet on the doubler first, because then you'll realize that you can't rivet the angles on. So first rivet the angles, then rivet on the doubler. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to come chat RVs, come join our Slack group. It's the link is in the description. It's really fun to see everyone else making the same mistakes you are, so you don't feel bad about yourself. Anyway, see you in the next video. We'll be bolting the firewall to riveting the firewall to the forward skins. See you then.